Ms. Faye said, well, are you available? Because we're not doing it if you're not available. I think she just realized that between SNL, and we were shooting it at SNL, and not that many other people could probably do it and do it just as well as I did. I think just the familiarity of knowing that she felt protected. So she knew that I could try and pull it off. I think the first time it was just like, oh my God, can we even pull it off? And I think they just thought it might be something that might be a surprise and a boost for the ratings, because even though it was a hugely critical success, it was not a ratings darling all the time. So I think part of it was they thought this would be kind of something to do, a stunt, like that all different kinds of shows do for things like sweeps. And the other side of it is she had a bunch of really great live performers. And just to see what they'd be like, live, performing live. The regular 30 Rock show, you have 4 days prep, 5 days shoot, and you're not pre-blocking, the whole show. You're doing scene by scene, and you go over your script a certain way. In the live show, everything has to be available to you, and we did a big dry block on the floor, and then we spent a couple days on camera. But there's so many things that we had to do the first time live that took a while to figure out. We do all those whip pans, those flashbacks. Those whip pans took us an hour till we figured it out the right way, because it's they recreate those in post and put all these like extra things in it, and I just had to do it live, and like the timing of a camera whipping and getting to the next camera whipping and the right timing. It took us like a good 45 minutes to get that right. It was really hard. And just the logistics. We only had budgetarily, we only had like 7 cameras, or no, maybe we had 8. We had 8. 3, 6, 7, 8. We might have had 8. But I mean, there were some scenes that went from one end of the studio all the way to the other end of the studio, and it's just, figuring out camera traffic, figuring out what camera's going where, what camera can break when. It was crazy. The first way it just technically being live affected the writing was me begging Robert and Tina to keep the script short, because on a normal 30 Rock, you could cut anywhere from 6 to 8 to 10 minutes out of the first director's cut, or the first whatever the first cut is, the editor's cut, because they wrote and made choices and cut things out. And I was like, we can't do that live, so we need to be kind of in a good sweet spot before we get into this. Because, unlike a sketch where, the sketches all live on their own, these are all very intricate storylines that all intertwine, and you couldn't just cut part of it. And then just making sure we could get somewhere before, like we had to add a line so we could get somebody to the next set in time. And then, they came up with that great idea with Julia, who's just such a treat. And having that flashback Tina was so great, because that was made out of necessity. And that's a perfect example of Tina and Robert being brilliant. It was like, oh, well, we may have to rewrite this because Tina can't get there, or let's actually make it funny. Julia LouisDreyfus played Flashback Tina and was hilarious and had a ball. I was so happy to be there and couldn't have been more gracious and wonderful and lovely. And Tina actually could get back for the last scene with Jack Donaghy, and we thought it was funnier to start with Julia there and have her come in and just like tap her on the shoulder, which was great. And Tina's the one that, in the first flashback, wrote that line when he goes, oh, how come you look so good in your flashback? And she's like, my flashback is Seinfeld money. So, they certainly made something that logistically we had to make work and ended up making it super funny. And it was funny because, we had the perfect meld of like the 30 Rock and the SNL group having come together to work together, and literally two of the best crews and staffs of people I've ever worked with that all kind of came together. And the beauty of it was that the 30 Rock set was originally designed by Keith Raywood, who worked at SNL, and he designed it a lot like SNL. So we actually used the real SNL under the bleachers area, and it looked like 30 Rock because the set was designed similar to it. But, you know, it was the SNL people helping out the 30 Rock people to figure out how to fit what set here and what, you know, I went through, because I knew the SNL stage, I knew what could work where, and I worked with the 30 Rock designers on where we should place everything. And I was like, if we put the backstage here, we can put doors, and it actually goes into the real bleachers, which looks like the 30 Rock set, even though it's SNL, and then we don't have to build that part, you know. So we figured out a bunch of stuff ahead of time, and it ended up working out great.